Okay. Good show, everybody.
You're muted, Medium Daddy Cool.
It's
I
fine.
unmuted.
Let's keep
I
going. Let's
unmuted
keep
everybody
going.
else. I unmuted everybody else but myself. Look at me. Welcome to Blue Card Cage.
Way to go, host.
I'm gonna. He's all over it. I'm not gonna be able to get past the dead Undertaker eyes on your shirt, just staring right into my soul.
Yeah.
Eyes
I'm gonna get
are
real. It's really gonna be distracting. I
dead.
feel like for me.
I'm, just look deep into them and remember to rest in peace.
God, that's like straight out of like. Now, is that a bootleg or is that a? Is that one of the OG like 1991, 92 Undertaker shirts?
It's 100% a bootleg, but it's based off one of the old shirts. Like
I remember one that looked like that.
I love when they rip off actual old designs. And it's nice to have the WWF logo on stuff. Like that muted circumcised WWE logo, like retro logo, is just real weird.
says a lot.
Anyway, Medium Daddy Cool, the other host, Justy Rhodes. How you doing, buddy?
I'm here. Trying to figure out what the hell we're going to talk about on this episode. I don't know if there's anything major that has happened in the world of pro wrestling this week.
Not a goddamn thing. And our junior co-host, the weatherman, David Modulewski. How's the weather over there today?
I haven't been outside, so I have no clue.
I have. It's hot as shit.
Yeah, I can see heat coming through the window, but
you can see the heat.
So global warming.
Yeah. It's also summertime, so
yeah.
Whichever category you guys fall into, we have a broad demographic. So if you want to ostracize our audience.
Yeah, real broad demographic for this group here. Max Bacon. Oh Jesus. And our special guest co-host, because nobody knows where Chris is at. Ever since Mark made his presence known, he has tucked his tail and ran away. So we'll see him again one day. But our special guest co-host, Blizz, how are you doing, buddy?
Tired. It's hot outside. It's very hot outside. But besides that, I am going, scratching and surviving, like, good times. That's all it is.
Awesome. Like, you will be happy to know that Kim and I have had the Mia Yim song stuck in our head.
Good.
And so we've been just randomly walking around. We'll be like HBIC. Wow.
Hey, well, you can also while you're walking around stream it on every platform. Even Napster, which I did not know Napster still exists. I didn't know Napster still existed until I got into this like music distribution stuff. I was like, "What do you mean Napster? This is a real option?"
I want to know who's out there using Napster.
Yeah,
in the year of our Lord 2022.
Yeah, whoever they are, God bless them.
Yeah.
Like, have you ripped yourself off and dropped it on like LimeWire and Kazaa? You should definitely do that.
I have not ripped myself off, but I do have a friend. He got it from a friend's computer who bought it off of Amazon Music, and I thought about hitting him in the throat, but I was like, just one of those real quick. But I didn't, because he still streamed it as well, so I gave him a pass. But he did take away our 99 cent from Amazon Music.
Come on now.
You can barely get anything with 99 cent these days, but at least I can I don't know, sniff coffee or something.
You could get one of those like big Arizona teas.
Yeah, Arizona tea.
Yeah. But not at a dollar store though, because dollar stores are now the $1.25 store here, so it gets hard.
Inflation is hitting us everywhere, dude.
Yeah.
What the hell?
Yeah, it's crazy.
Like that dang Biden. You happy now? Anyway.
We're not gonna do all that.
Here we go.
Anyway, Justin immediately uncomfortable. Camera goes
Why
off.
me?
All right. So wrestling news this week. A thing happened we didn't think would ever happen. We thought he would probably die before, like ripping up a script before an event. Vince McMahon retired at the age of 77 via tweet on a Friday news dump. Are y'all surprised? Did you feel it coming?
This doesn't feel real at all. I mean, yeah, I mean, you knew one day it was going to happen. I wouldn't have predicted it was going to happen like this and so quickly.
Yeah. I think
I'm just kind of like, I'm kind of still speechless.
He considering all the news that's come out about him lately, I think he is trying to do what he can to preserve his legacy at this point, and that requires him to not be present anymore. Which, I don't even know how to look at it, because it's just another one of those love the art, not the artist kind of thing. Yeah, I mean,
to us being, kind of more hardcore wrestling fans, it's not super surprising. All the stories that are coming out and probably are set to come out. I mean, it's not surprising that Vince McMahon's a piece of shit. I mean, I could have guessed that a long, long time ago. But
I think what's happening now is just like everything that's kind of happening in the world period, where it's something we never expected, but we're getting to this point where like at some point this changes, right? So you have now co-presidencies with half Stephanie, half Nick Khan, but Stephanie is the chairwoman. I look at it and go, it's a win-win with every flip of the coin. I don't want to go into the specifics why, because that's another story. But and it depends on how you look at wrestling entertainment, right? But I think especially with somebody like Stephanie, who's more open-minded to a lot of things, I think that at least, like, if you look at the stuff with like Dana Warrior helping with the women's writing and all that, even if people don't think that was a success or not, she still was open-minded to it. So to be able to give chances to a lot of different things, this could actually be a better thing for what wrestling is now.
It just kind of, it blows my mind, and I'm still wrapping my head around the fact that we are getting ready now to see what the WWE looks like without him at the helm. I mean, we've never seen that. We've talked about it for years and years. What's going to happen when Vince retires or dies or however he leaves the company? I think there's just going to be a ton of change coming. I think it's going to happen gradually. But I think honestly, I can't think of a reason why it's not a net positive at this point. Companies outgrow their founders all the time. And I think that if there's one person that has been, holding the company back from, maybe connecting with a younger audience, from taking the product to, that next level, I mean, it's him. And you could guess, Kevin Dunn probably, of course, which if the rumors are true, he's probably on his way out fairly soon. Also, I'm so interested to see going from the creative to things like commentary. What's commentary? I'm excited to see what does Michael Cole sound like without Vince McMahon screaming in his ear. Because I generally like the pairing of him and Pat McAfee. So it's like commentary. What if Kevin Dunn is on his way out? What is the production going to look like? Obviously, what is the creative going to look like? What are we, who are the kinds of wrestlers that we're going to be seeing the company show interest in? And I think it is, I think we're in for a lot of change, and I'm sure not all of it's going to work, but I cannot believe we're getting ready to see a company without him having the final say.
Another big thing too is sorry, Eddie, really quick. Another big thing too is if you look at NXT 2.0, right? A lot of people don't like it. For me, it's my favorite show for this one specific reason is with how they do NXT 2.0 now, they just throw a bunch of shit at the wall, right? If it sticks, it sticks. If it doesn't, hey, repackage it. But
I totally agree.
Yeah, it's that open-mindedness. So if this continues throughout the company, like we said, gradually, who's to say they don't open a door and then it's like, oh, well, WWE and NWA with Impact now present, you don't know.
I mean,
You don't
it's
know.
it could be anything. I mean, we could. I mean, this is opening up an entire world of possibilities now. And yeah, I totally agree with you on NXT 2.0. Like, I like that they have gimmicks, and not all of the, like you said, not all of them work. Some of it sucks, and some of it doesn't work, and they have to tweak things. But I like, and honestly, I think, especially in the last year or two of NXT Black and Gold, I feel like I'm good at wrestling's not a gimmick. And I feel like that is kind of a trope that AEW is falling into a lot, especially in the past year. It's like, I want characters and I want gimmicks, because when that's what attracted me to wrestling in the first place, is it's, kind of like a real life comic book or a, cartoon or something. Being good at wrestling, like having a bunch of guys who their gimmick is, I'm a good wrestler, isn't so interesting. You need that too. But, I also
find
want
a happy medium.
Exactly. I also want characters, and I want the over the top shit. I mean, and NXT 2.0 is doing that, and yeah, a lot of people don't like it, but that's the kind of stuff I like. I mean, not all of it, but at least they're trying, like you said.
What I want to know is what happened between Buckham when Vince walked off the stage at SmackDown after he talked about then, now, together forever, and then he walked off and said fuck 'em. And this week,
I mean, look, I think
what else is coming out? What else is coming out? Because he that was some like masculine, here's my dick bullshit that he did. It probably wasn't the right idea to go out there and do that immediately after that story, but he did it. But how did he turn from that to this? Is there more coming? Is there more damning?
I think certainly there's
articles.
I think certainly there's more coming. I think something big is coming. I think that I could say, and again, this is just pure speculation, but I could see it being a situation where the board of directors, where they announced they were doing their own internal investigation, but have basically, I could see it them being uncovering stuff and giving him the option of being like, we'll keep this in house, but you got to go.
It could be anything,
or we can make it. It could be anything. Yeah, I mean, I have no doubt that there's more coming.
Yeah, that's what I'm wondering. Can you preserve a legacy if there is more coming? Is kind of my question, and that'll be interesting because he's so associated with WWE. Either way, whether he's still the chairman or not, he's very associated with it. And will he actually be pulling back? Will he actually not be having input in scripts?
He's gone, man.
I think he's gone. Like, I mean, I think. Oh, okay. So this is my opinion. I think that if it's like, let's look at this, what everybody heard about this Brock Lesnar situation, right? Where he walked out and he came back or whatever, right? That could have easily been like, oh, Vince is gone, but then Vince could have made a call and was like, hey, man, like, could you just do us this solid for X, Y, and Z? And then he goes, for you, I'll do it. So I think that if there is a case where possibly for a certain amount of time, if it's like, hey, can you talk to this person? Or, hey, can you help with this one decision? It may be happening. But for the most part, I think it's Nick and Stephanie, with a lot of it more being Stephanie and her crew, Triple H, or whoever else.
Yeah, I imagine Nick Khan's is sort of more on the business end of things, running the company, while Stephanie is more on the the product, the television, the creative, the talent relations sort of aspect of that. At least that's the impression I get.
So do you think Triple H is like calling Karrion Kross? Do you think he's calling a few of these other guys that were just like dropped off a cliff from NXT and not carried over? You think any of those people will be brought back?
No, because if you look at how the foundation is built now, and this isn't a knock on anybody, like Eddie, I work with people like this, right? It's not a knock on it, but it becomes a thing of, for how this foundation is built, can you add another story to the house that we're building? And right now it's like we have people there, whether people see it or not, that in the long run, they're going to be able to build those other stories to this houses where you don't really have to call those people back. Because if you look at some of them, not all, but just some, it's like, what have some done to make the name bigger and follow that whole mode that like Drew McIntyre did, Sure. So, they're going to look at all that. And at the end of the day, it's like, you know, and I don't want to get too much into it, but it's like a lot of people who are like, well, Cody's dumb for going back to WWE. Should have stayed at AEW, da-da-da. Okay, well, if you want to look at it strategically and just business-wise, besides his family and the money, he was at AEW for 3 years, never got nominated, nowhere near an ESPY. He's there back at WWE within 6 months. Not only is he nominated, but he wins an ESPY. So in a grander stream of things outside of wrestling to build your brand in entertainment, within 6 months, he did something he couldn't do in 3 years at another company. And it's not a knock on another company, but it's just his branding.
It's interesting that that partnership is continued with them after Coachman's no longer part of either company, like with ESPN. Like I think that ESPY, like them being involved in the ESPYs is interesting. I always thought it was kind of interesting, especially when they've relegated it to just one wrestling company. So if I don't know if WWE even wants to call it wrestling at this point.
I mean to go back to his point, I mean, I think Cody. I think that Cody character is a better fit in WWE anyway. I think that going to WWE, he got everything that. I mean, if you were watching Raw, I mean, when he came in, he was basically the main character of the show until he got hurt and had to leave.
The Cody countdown.
Yeah, I mean, he wasn't getting that in, and I think that's not. I think that character and his kind of philosophy is a better fit, honestly, for WWE than it was for AEW. I think AEW didn't necessarily need him anymore, and I don't think he needed AEW anymore. And I think that history will show it that it was a smart move on his part.
And I honestly, we'll see what happens with him too, because all those agreements, all those things that were in place with a different leadership, so to speak.
Well, so I don't think any of that's changing. I would be very surprised if they're going and changing people's contracts and shit just because.
No, not changing contracts, but changing what the creative ends up being for him down the line. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like new creatives just all of a sudden, like, Cody, you're back. You're the 24/7 champ. You know, like
that feels like Vince McMahon booking.
Yeah, for
right?
Sure.
That feels like Vince McMahon booking. Let's be honest. If Cody hadn't gotten hurt, he'd be in the main event of SummerSlam next weekend.
Oh, probably.
It'd almost certainly be him and Reigns. And they broke the emergency Brock Lesnar glass when Cody got hurt.
And that's what I want to see is, like, you know, the ebb and flow of wrestling always changes. What's the plan one day isn't the plan the other day. He's going to be super, super hot when he comes back, especially if he's able to come back by the Royal Rumble. But I just wonder
when he's number 23 at the Royal Rumble. Let's get it right. He's going to be number 23. Yeah.
There you go.
Or number 30.
If he can come back, he'll get.
Have him come in at number 1 and do the. You know, I could see. You know, they did the he's a badass. He wrestled that Hell in a Cell match with a torn pec, and then he came back and went the distance in the Rumble or something. I could see him doing that because I mean the dude is going to be like one of, if not the most over guys on the show when he does come back. I mean, they have so far treated him like a megastar.
I just hope they get rid of the Cody countdown. There is a few things that were just a little too much during that short run he got there. The constant full intro and the Cody countdown were probably the two worst things.
Oh, sure.
What is the difference on the Cody countdown? I'll give you the intro. What was different about it than what it was in AEW? It was ridiculous there too.
No, the constant intro. Like there was shows Raws where he had 2 to 3 intros.
Yeah.
With the full song, and it's just like, I get it.
Adrenaline's in his soul, Eddie.
Look, Eddie, this is what you got to understand, man. When you're the artist that did that song, you want that intro to play every time because you're like, yes, these royalties are.
I was gonna say you probably get a little royalty check every time that song's playing.
Yeah, so if like a Mia Yim or like I do Cody's song, I'm gonna be like, bro, like tell him you want to do commentary, tell him you want to do ring announcing, get the entrance every single time. You know why? Like Jericho's rich, he doesn't even have to wrestle. He gets a minute of his whole song every time. So
And then another minute of the crowd singing it after the song.
yeah,
ends.
exactly. So it's like, damn, if only I was featured on that song. You know.
day,
just
one day.
just wait, you'll get the remix where they add you into it.
Yeah, and I'm gonna be like, play it for 2 minutes. I'm like, P.S. Eddie hates this countdown, so can we get that shirt on WWE Shop, please?
Yeah. Let's play it for the entire countdown.
Yeah.
Just on a loop.
Let's just New Jack this. Let's just do this like New Jack.
Slow down the Cody Vader, the Cody elevator, so
Yeah.
that we get more of the song.
Can we get some of those birthday cards that you open up and play the song? It's like, I need that song in there.
Yeah, we need it.
Yeah.
We need all of this.
I hate you guys.
Happy
No,
Sunday.
It sounds like you don't have enough adrenaline in your soul.
That's what's
Oh,
Pretty
man.
cool.
I'm looking forward to it. And Cody, if you're following Comic-Con news, he did you got to see the first Cody Rhodes WWE action figure.
Yeah.
Looks like all the other Cody Rhodes action figures, big tattoo on his neck, and lots of extreme facial expressions.
They're good. I feel like Mattel or whoever is they've been having some fun with the figures lately. And we're not going to get into the whole thing, but we had the San Diego Comic-Con. I know Eddie and I really give a shit about this, but I feel like they're getting wild with their choices of figures, and yeah, their facial expressions. Some of these head sculpts are wild. They're wild, man.
Like the Hogan ones for the like early 90s, late 80s, early 90s Hogan they're doing is really crazy. Like there's 3 different heads, and some of them are just like it's like when you hit pause on your TV and you're watching something instead of a really funny moment. That's what some of these faces are.
Oh my gosh!
Look, I just appreciate that when they did the WrestleMania 9 Hulk Hogan, that they gave him a head with that big old black eye that he had.
And that's exactly
that's
the
what
head
you're
I
talking
used
about,
for
isn't
it? That's one of the heads I used on it. I put him on my new gen shelf because that's new gen. That counts, right? Hogan's part of that's new gen.
93,
Hogan, right?
93 is new gen. I'm sorry, even though Hogan's there for a little bit, it's new gen.
Yeah,
I have
like
I have a very quick question, especially anybody collects, especially you, Eddie. And this is kind of off topic, but I need to know your response to this. How do you feel about some of these places getting rid of like the plastic in the boxes, and now you can't see see inside of it now? What is your feelings on this?
I like it as somebody that works where I work and it is always trying to. I overly recycle. I probably recycle things that probably shouldn't be. I try to be a little bit smarter about that now, but like, it's fine. I'm an out-of-box collector for the most part.
But what if you what if you get this new Sergeant Slaughter and you open the box and it's like Raphael the Turtle in there?
I will take it back.
What shelf is it going to go on? Is it going to go on my turtle shelf? Or is it going to go on my wrestling shelf?
Now I want a mashup of Raphael and Sergeant Slaughter.
It's hard enough to figure out where Sergeant Slaughter goes if he goes.
I was
going to
say I have a Donatello
shelf.
Ultimate Warrior turtle. That's pretty close.
He just kind of floats in the ether because he doesn't know where to go.
Yeah, exactly.
I want a Iraqi sympathizer, Raphael. Complete with the boots on those turtle feet.
Oh my god,
the pointy Colonel Mustafa boots.
Yeah, I do most of my shopping online. That's one great thing about I think maybe the pandemic is a lot of the supply got routed to online, and I don't have to go in a store anymore, which is great. I hate it. So most of the things aren't going to be tampered with. I can see where that's going to happen. You see figure swaps when you can see the figure. So it's something that's going to be happening anyway. Just take it back. Open it in the parking lot if you have to. I think a lot of people are going to be bummed about it, like in-box collectors that like to hang them like it's a retail store in their rooms, I guess. But I'm fine with it. They're toys. They're meant to be played with. Take them out of the box. Put them on your shelf. Enjoy them. Yeah, save the environment, man. Like these single-use plastics are awful. If you've noticed, I don't know if you've read any of the stories, but we have plastic, like microplastics in like our blood and our bodies, and they're doing damage and harm to folks. Not to get on a and preach or anything about something so random, but it's good. It's a good thing.
That's going to be my topic to tell people today about this. So yeah, here you go. I learned this from Eddie today.
Microplastics, man. They're bad.
Mm-hmm.
Like this, bad.
I was about to say, as you're drinking out of a plastic bottle. Like,
yeah, this was my my newest care package from Mark. Got a mango gym.
don't blame it on Mark. Like,
He's
Blame it on Mark.
all I see is a
Let's
lot
be
of
honest, you went to the gas
microplastic.
station and bought that.
It's going to end up being in my bloodstream because you had to have that Mountain Dew.
Well, see, I recycle responsibly, like an
Thanks
adult
for poisoning me with your mango dew.
mango. I mean, the mango dew is probably poisoning me, to be honest.
Sure.
Or whatever Mark's done to it.
Not one thing about what the bottle, what's inside the bottle is good for you.
No, this is poison. Well, here we are at the end of a great conversation about Vince McMahon and microplastics. But I think we should get to.
It went some directions I wasn't anticipating, to be honest.
Yeah, and that's this podcast. That's this podcast. You never know what you're going to get here. We're a box of chocolates. But we're reeling it back in. We're going back a little old school for Blue Bard Cage. We're doing a retro review of SummerSlam '88, the inaugural SummerSlam pay-per-view event extravaganza. It's a happening, as Gorilla Monsoon would say.
Yeah, man, Gorilla Monsoon loved to say it's a happening.
Hey, you want to do it in your best Gorilla Monsoon voice, Justin, please?
I don't really have a Gorilla Monsoon impression.
All right, you bring that back next week.
Okay, I'll work on it. I'll spend some time in the mirror working on my grill. I'll get the big like smoky glasses.
Please give us an update on social of you just in the mirror, like practicing it. You know, you know, drop the sound off of it a little bit. For the
I'll just be like,
and then...
"Will you stop? Will you stop? Will you stop?"
Perfect.
Just trying to get the voice right.
You got to keep working on it. You're getting there. It's a pretty good first go. But SummerSlam '88, emanating live from the mecca of pro wrestling in the North, at least, Madison Square Garden. I really like how they shoot this too at the angle. It makes everything look so much bigger in there. Because I mean, Madison Square Garden's big, but it's not as big as it feels when you're looking at it through that screen. And we have your commentators, Gorilla Monsoon, and for some reason, superstar Billy Graham, who is just a bastion of some sort of
insanity, dude. He's a crazy geriatric wrestler in the '80s, and he's even more crazy and more geriatric nowadays.
Just absolutely ridiculous. Dressing ridiculous, looking kind of like Hulk Hogan, but not exactly.
Or does Hulk Hogan look a lot like him? Because
exactly.
Billy Graham was first.
Exactly. Not that Hogan ever ripped anything off in his entire career.
No.
Surely
not.
But it took place on August 29th, 1988, with an attendance of 20,000. And the tagline for the event was "Where the Mega Powers Meet the Mega Bucks."
The Mega Bucks.
Lots of mega.
Every dude in 1988, everything was mega.
Yeah.
Radical. It was extreme. Now in like the 2000s, it was like extreme.
Sure. Yeah.
It's there's certain signifiers for each generation. We kicked this thing off with what I thought was a really, really good match. The British Bulldogs, Davey Boy Smith and Dynamite Kid versus the Fabulous Rougeaus, Jacques and Raymond. It went for 20 minutes for an opening tag match, which Vince hates tag matches, and that's kind of wild, right?
It's just a different era, man. I mean, you had the tag division in the late 80s, that kind of golden era, Hulkamania era tag division was just on a different level. And I mean, there are several tag matches on this show that go for a decent amount of time. What stood out to me more than just the length of the match is that it ends in a draw. They have their opening match end in no contest.
Yeah,
and they did that shit all the time on pay-per-view back then. It was like they were so afraid to put anyone over, except for Hogan. Constant count outs, double count outs. time limit draws,
disqualifications.
Yeah,
And we'll see a few of those here too. Like, but what really stood out to me about this was how, for the first like several matches, this is pretty much the only wrestling on the show. You know what I mean? Like, we're getting some other stuff. Are
you besmirching the good goddamn name of Bad News Brown?
I was about to say, don't you dare come at. I am chomping at the bit for Bad News.
We will get to that.
One of the most underrated wrestlers of this era.
I have some comments on Bad News Brown and his wrestling prowess. We talk about the next match.
I hope it's only that he was awesome.
Honestly, I don't know if we get like wrestling, some like decent wrestling until like the next like tag match. Well, no, not the next tag match. Maybe the Demolition against the Hart Foundation.
Whoa!
A lot of stuff.
Whoa!
There's a lot of stuff happening.
Whoa!
A lot of gaga.
I think Blitz is taking an issue here.
Oh my god!
I will say my biggest takeaway from the opening match, ending in a draw, it does kill the momentum, but it did give the opportunity for Billy Graham to say, these boys need to go in the back and finish this in the shower, which I thought was a very odd thing to say. Like, but hey, like,
just go get you a couple broom handles and just work it out in the shower, man.
Jeez,
what is getting worked out, Justin? I'm worried.
Hey, look.
Whatever needs to happen.
Is this one of those revival situations?
I'm just doing my best JBL impression here.
Oh my goodness.
No.
My takeaway from that opening match was the Rougeau saying, and soon to be from the U.S. You know, because they wanted to make
so
it
good.
You know, yeah, they were like, we're getting this heat.
And their tiny little American flags.
Yeah. I love the Rougeaus, man.
Gorilla was livid about the size of their American flags. He was like, "You really put a lot of money into that. Look at how tiny they are."
Yeah.
That is an underutilized gimmick anymore these days. Is like the heel Canadian. Like you don't get a lot of that now, but like back then.
Then, and I mean in the 90s, and I mean shit, even on further than that. Like, if you were not from the U.S., it didn't matter if it was Canada, it didn't matter if it was the U.K., like, you were probably going to be a heel.
Yeah. Like, America hates the other. I don't know if you've noticed.
I mean, we had Yokozuna in the 90s doing a heel Japan angle. I'm like, it's been 50 fucking years since Japan was our enemy at that point. Like, who the fuck hates Japan in the 90s? And he wasn't even Japanese. So.
Yeah. Which was shocking when you found that out as a young man.
Sure.
I was a dumbass mark, and when I found that out, it blew my mind. And then I was like, oh, it makes a lot of sense. Yeah, he doesn't look Japanese at all, does he?
Yeah, especially like that first time he talked, and you were like, whoa, wait a minute.
Like that doesn't sound right.
Yeah, you know. So
yeah, I wonder what kind of weird things like kind of like that these tropes will fall off with Vince McMahon leaving from wrestling.
That's
I
a
think
good point. That feels like a holdover from another era that the kind of, I mean, because even Hulk Hogan, look at the name Hulk Hogan. The name Hogan.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be Irish. It's supposed to be, it was supposed to be what San Martino was to the Italians in the Northeast. But people don't think like that anymore. Like, you don't have crowds being like, I need my Italian hero. I need my, Irish hero. Like, I just don't know fans that think like that anymore. And it feels like a very outdated trope.
Yeah,
that really doesn't have a place in modern pro wrestling, I don't think.
And just kind of culture in general, it's kind of shifted to where it's, even like in acting, you don't see a lot of people playing roles that they're not born into anymore. Like, and there's a lot of pushback for that. So, you're probably not going to see a lot of Samoans playing Japanese guys, these days.
And it could be just how the internet and our modern society has kind of just sort of shrunk the world, and we don't have a lot of the preconceived things that we would have about other people, like Eddie said, that we may have had years and years ago, and God knows that the internet and social media has damaged a lot. But I think one of the good things is that it has kind of made the world a smaller place and made like the other not so scary, because when you're online and when you interact with people all the time, you realize it's just people, man. It's just like no one cares. Like it's just people living their lives. So
yeah, I would rather somebody be a heel just because they're doing something I don't like. You know what I mean? Not because they are from wherever. And
now and this is totally off topic, but I don't think it's really off topic, but it's not talking about SummerSlam '88. While I'm not super, and I'm not a big fan of her at all. It's interesting right now if you're watching SmackDown, the Lacey Evans character that they're doing. I've never seen them do a character that was built up presumably as a babyface, with the I'm a U.S. hero, I was in the military, I'm doing this and doing that, and all these vignettes, and now she's a heel. Basically saying, because I did all this, you should kiss my ass. Yeah. I've never seen them do something like that.
It's that toxic patriotic mentality.
It is, and it's surprising to see, especially from WWE.
It comes across as like you see these like posts online from like military wives with their entitlement. It's kind of the same like breath as that, where like latchkey patriotism. Granted, she was, really a veteran, but like, she's exploiting it, and like that's fantastic to me. Like, I think it's a very interesting
it as
a heel character.
Yeah, because when it started, it was just it's like a stupid like flag waving patriot. Another instance of this, just taking advantage of the fact that she was in the military, which is fine. You can work that into the character. That's fine. But it's kind of refreshing to see, like, I've never seen a heel U.S. veteran. In WWE, you know what I mean?
And I have no doubt I wouldn't like her probably as a person. You know what I mean?
I mean, like I don't know her as a person. I've heard stories, but I don't know her as a person, so I can't say. But as a character, I think it's pretty fucking interesting that they're doing that.
Yeah, it definitely is. Sure. Definitely is. As long as Aaliyah finally gets a match and can win, I'll be happy, because she's a good friend of mine. So I'm just like, yes, I want to see her.
There you go. As long as she is treated as a heel and gets her comeuppance, then I'm fine with it.
Yeah, fine with it.
Yeah. It's it adds instant believability to it, and I think that's the thing too. We're talking about not having to have those types of heels and all that, and having more gimmicks. I think that's the one good thing about wrestling having a wider audience, is the fact that it's so niche now. There's a wrestler for everybody, no matter what you're into. There's a wrestler you'll probably be into. There's more flavors than Baskin Robbins when it comes to that. So you can really zoom into whatever your kink is.
It's like that category button on Pornhub, man. Just a little something for everybody. Like.
Pornhub revolutionized the world in its own way.
It's like, I just want that heel wrestler now that his gimmick is he just comes out and just breaks classic toys just so Eddie can be I hate him with all my soul.
He's just I used my fat fucking WWE paycheck to go and snipe some auction on eBay and buy this classic toy, and he just fucking snaps it.
Just snaps.
Zack Ryder. People hate Zack Ryder in like the wrestling figure community because he is that guy. Like he'll buy a mint on card Hasbro, and then he'll open it. He'll buy the mintiest one he can for the most absurd price, and then he'll open it like a prick.
Well, and I think there could be an argument that Zack Ryder is the best heel in wrestling today.
Yeah.
Speaking of people that like McIntyre and Cody that went out and did something and became more, he's done it and it's working for him.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Like he's getting a heel reation from me. He must be doing a good job.
I will say, and we're way off topic now. I did not see that coming with him when he left WWE. I figured he'd be one of those guys that went on to maybe do bodybuilding or went on to do something else and maybe try to work. He just seemed like such a quintessential WWE guy that he wasn't interested in doing anything outside of WWE. And the fact that he has been able to reinvent himself and do the things he has done and make a real name for himself outside of that company, I think is just damn impressive what he's been able to accomplish, to be honest.
I still can't believe he was GCW world champ. That still blows my damn mind.
And honestly, there is like him being like a WWE apologist, quote unquote.
Yeah.
That's such a good heel character in the modern in modern wrestling landscape.
Yeah,
Like
it works.
Oh, for sure.
it works,
sure.
man. How you gonna like? There is just no better way you can work up these snarky ass crowds than just saying like, "I love WWE."
And
It
that's
works.
kind of what Jericho's doing. I think they could do a better.
I
job,
think
like,
Jericho's
playing
doing.
that
I'll be
aspect.
honest. I think Jericho's doing a poor man Zack Ryder right now. I think the whole sports entertainment thing. I think it's gimmick infringement. If I'm going to be totally honest with you,
It could be so much better. He could hit a lot. He could push a lot more buttons than he is instead of just wearing stupid boy band outfits. And to our next match, went for
yeah.
6 minutes.
Let's get back to this.
6 minutes, 30.
Let's talk about
Blake
Ken
has been
fucking
waiting
Patera.
for this one. It's Bad News Brown, who can't even hit the ropes
Whoa!
against Ken Pantera, an Olympic. I don't think he was a medalist. Did he win a medal?
I don't think he won a medal. No.
Yes, I think
Olympics.
that's what Billy Graham said. I was like,
Yeah.
I don't think so. I think that was
Are you
think
saying
that was
that
another
Billy
wrestler.
isn't trustworthy?
no.
How
The
dare
beginning
you,
of
sir?
fake news happened right here with Billy Graham. But yeah, this was not a good match. This was bad.
This
It
is great.
rough.
This is great. A, this is great. B, the Ghetto Blaster is one of the greatest finishes of all time.
Yeah,
I love the
great.
name of it, and I do love the finisher, but my man can't even hit the ropes.
Bro.
Ken Pantera was trying to walk him through it.
Did you call him Ken Pantera?
Yeah,
Yeah, I did.
I did. My man Ken Pantera was trying to walk him through it, and yeah, it was bad.
Look, one of the greatest heels ever. Justin said it. One of the most underrated heel. Like, if you're in the ring with Bad News Brown or Bad News Allen, whichever one you wanted to call him at the time, you were going to get that babyface pop because he knew how to generate a heel reaction with not even having to hit the ropes the right way.
I mean,
Well,
what brought him to the dance in the first place? Bret fucking Hart brought him to the dance, and if he's got Bret Hart's endorsement, then I'm in, buddy. If he says if Bret Hart says he's great,
I'm a Ken Pantera mark.
Oh god!
I'll be honest. The only thing I know about Ken Patera is that I had his LJN figure when I was a kid, and still do.
Yeah.
That you could kill someone with that thing. It is a giant, heavy piece of rubber, like thick rubber.
Yeah. With the,
And
like, metal arms.
and also didn't he go to jail at some point? Didn't he like
checks
get in a
out.
fight at a McDonald's or something and go to prison?
Yeah. Well, probably sounds about right.
That
Sounds
sounds
right,
yeah.
I'm gonna look it up.
Yeah, we'll
Yeah.
see. I don't know where my phone
On
is.
working out in jail. Okay, so apparently he did go to jail. You are
Yeah.
right. There is a video about him working out in jail.
Okay.
Online. Let's see here. Let's see here. Prison. Is he on here? Yep. Spent the previous year in prison. Yeah, he came back in '87, and he had spent the previous year in prison for doing something.
Mm-hmm.
I'm
And
not
then
sure what it was.
And the next
Interesting.
year he jobbed out the Bad News Brown like he was supposed to.
There you go.
There you go. Ghetto Blaster to the back of the head. Boom. 1, 2, 3.
What a ride it was.
He got a
thank
mouse
God it's
over.
over.
Oh my gosh! Don't you talk about Bad News Brown? Never mind.
Okay. So I just want to interject here. On April 6th, 1984, in Waukesha, I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, Wisconsin, Masa Saito and Ken Patera went to a local McDonald's restaurant to get something to eat. After being refused service because it was after hours, Patera threw a large rock at the glass of the restaurant and shattered it. He claimed a teenage disgruntled employee was responsible for throwing the rock. And yeah, he went to jail for that.
It's like one of those Karen videos you see on our public freakout. And they're like,
Oh
"Look,
yeah,
here,
there would
McDonald's."
absolutely be lots of cell phone videos of that on YouTube if that happened today.
Man,
I would love to see that. I would love to see.
No doubt, just coked out of their minds, just wanting some fucking McNuggets, and they didn't get them. And yeah,
wow, man, I
Like-
never knew this story.
I need to look up the U shoot on this. I need to see the shoot video. Like Ken just chucking a freaking rock through a McDonald's window for no particular reason. All right. We'll move on to the next match. Does it get better from here? Not quite. Going 6 minutes and 18 seconds. Rick Rude, who, man, such a good heel.
One of my all-time favorites, honestly.
Wrestled against the Junkyard Dog, JYD. One of the all-time greatest theme songs in wrestling history, in my opinion.
And honestly, one of the all-time greatest baby faces. You might not get it from just his WWE work,
dude.
But just a top-tier baby face.
If you really look at it, and a lot of people try to act like this didn't happen, he was getting bigger reactions than Hogan. He was getting bigger reactions than Dusty. He was getting some of the biggest reactions in that era.
Dude was a star.
He was a star. He was basically the uncrowned world champion.
Yeah, I mean, back in the territory days, when he was moving between territories,
particularly Mid-South, I believe, right?
Oh yeah, wasn't much hotter wrestler in the world than JYD.
Listen to that reaction in that match with Rick Rude, man. Like when that music comes on, those people go bananas.
Yeah,
for sure.
But was okay. Was that the one? Is this the match where it ended with the punch when Rick Rude takes his pants down? He really has Jake the Snake's wife or whatever. Okay, right, so that's the one. That's the one. Okay,
it's that one. He, for some reason, Rick Rude's up and he's about to do a double axe handle or something, and he pulls his pants down to like just below the dick area, and it's Jake Roberts' wife airbrushed on there. Previously, it was JYD's face airbrushed, because that's one of my favorite heel moves.
I was about to say, is this a top 5 of all time heel move? Airbrushing your opponent's wife's face across your dick,
on your dick and your ass.
On your dick and ass.
This is where I put your wife, sir.
My note for this match was Junkyard Dong, simply because of the airbrush tights. But yeah, that really goes to Rick Rude's credit. That to me. Greatest heel in wrestling in my lifetime is Jake the Snake, but Rick Rude somehow manages to be worse than Jake the Snake. Like, and that is a hard fucking thing to do. Like, so he did it. Like,
the whole package. It's the whole package for him. It's that intro. It's that intro. It's the tights. It's just him getting on the mic immediately and just calling everybody.
And the fact that I feel like the best heels are the ones that are technically correct. In that he is in better shape than everyone else in that fucking building. No one looks like he looked. Like, I mean, exactly. If my fat ass was sitting in that audience, I'd be like, yeah, fuck you and your ass.
Yeah.
And he's got the Ultimate Heater with him too, and Bobby Heenan.
If I remember correctly, there's a spot in this match it's one of my favorite spots where he's working on JYD's arm the whole time, and then he does a spot where he's holding his arm and he jumps like on his arm, but not realizing that your balls is gonna fall on his arm, and he sold it like it was like, oh shit, I did the wrong move, and he sold it. And as soon as he did that, the crowd loses it. And I was like, this is so smart in wrestling. How
there is a real art form to Rick Rude selling his ass and balls. Like Rick Rude selling atomic drops and nut shots and shit. Like no one did it better than him.
It hurts me worse than anybody. Like you don't need to go into reason why.
And it was all his mistake. Like it was his dumbness for doing that. And I was and I'll never forget that spot. So I was just like, man, that is some good storytelling right there.
I've got
like
one
he's
question.
So cocky. Like, what the fuck did you think was gonna happen?
And I've got one question about this match, and I need to bring it to the panel here for your answer. Who has a harder head, JYD or Samoans?
I would still say the Samoan dynasty, but JYD, like, he's hanging at the party with those guys. Like
I would say outside of Samoans, it's got to be JYD.
Yeah.
Like that's got to be your 1A and your 1B.
Your 1B. Yup. Yeah. There's no 2. 1A, 1B.
Yeah.
They really emphasize how hard his head was.
Only because the Samoan the Samoan thing has gone on for so long, and it's such a trope, and it has like encapsulated so many different Samoan wrestlers at this point. I mean, up to the modern day. They still do that.
It still works. It still works to this day, you know, and it's still believable, and everybody still respects it. So that's what I always like about it.
Yeah, I love the little details like that that have stayed consistent throughout the years. That's just like, you probably, like, if you're just casually watching it, you might never pick up on it. But I love consistency, and I love callbacks, and I love that that's one of those things that like is just part of wrestling tradition and part of wrestling lore at this point.
But fun. I enjoyed seeing JYD just on all fours, headbutting the shit out of Rude.
I think if JYD was a little before his time, to be honest, like if he had come around a few years later, like people would be talking about him in the same breath as they talk about Hogan and Macho Man and all those guys. I think, and of course he passed away, you know, super
and
young.
that was and I think too, like if he wouldn't have passed away as young because of that accident, like I still think it was possible Scott was going to still be the limit.
Sure, absolutely. You know? And I mean, you got to imagine he had such a great mind for the business that even if he wasn't in the ring, that he would have been a great asset to some company, whether it's WWE or WCW. You know, I mean, he would have been around for a long time, I imagine.
Yeah, and it would open up the audience too. I think a little bit more for WWF at the time, like because they had a lot of like the same guys. He brought something entirely new to the table compared to anybody else on the card. It ends at a 6:18 with Jake the Snake Roberts running in after Rick Rude pulling down his tights, exposing the face of his wife.
I'll excuse this disqualification finish because it does involve the Rick Rude tights gag. I will forgive this BS ending because it's actually great.
And then we go on to this barn burner, this instant not modern classic, I guess 80s classic that went 5 minutes 27 seconds. The Powers of Pain, the Barbarian, and the Warlord with the Baron against the Bolsheviks, Boris and Nikolai with Slick, one of my favorite managers ever.
A very underrated manager, you know. You always talk about Jimmy Hart, and rightfully so. You always talk about Bobby Heenan, but man, Slick had quite the stable of dudes. He was a great character.
Yeah.
He was stylish.
He's a gyro, bro.
He was the doctor of style.
Yeah. Like not many more dress better than him.
Yeah, he had the greatest music video for wrestling ever. Jive Soul Bro.
Jive Soul Bro, yes.
And the Baron looking.
I honestly don't remember the Baron at all. I didn't remember when I watched this. I was like, I don't know who that is.
Yeah,
I know Powers of Pain.
He was a wrestler previously to this, so he,
I don't remember him. I don't remember him in this role. When I think of Powers of Pain, I think of probably Mr. Fuji.
Yeah,
it was weird too because this is when they were faces too, and it's like I was like, man, I never remembered them as a face. You know?
I didn't either.
So
coming back and watching them be baby faces was a little weird. With them, you know, another wrestling trope, fighting Russia here. In the middle of the Cold
least
War.
This was somewhat topical. That the Soviet Union was a big deal in the 80s. At least this was at least topical. It wasn't like, hey guys, remember World War II? You know,
here we go.
No, I don't fucking remember World War II.
Jesus. But so not a great match. It was what you thought it was. Lots of big dudes hitting big dudes.
Big meaty men slapping meat.
Yeah, that's what happened.
My only real note is that Boris Zukov has the biggest fucking head I have ever seen. He makes me feel better about my giant planet of a head. Like that dude is like 80% cranium.
Yeah, it's like Sputnik landed on his neck, man. It's huge.
Yeah.
Like what happened to him? His poor mother.
Jesus.
Mother Russia.
Mother Russia.
And it had been hyped up all through the event. Our next match was because our man Brutus the Barber Beefcake was heinously beaten earlier that week. He had to fall out of his.
What? I'm sorry. Was this the Spur incident that happened with him?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Was this Outlaw?
Yeah. They had to blur it out. There was a big censored mark on the TV, which was interesting how they censored it out when they got color. So he had to drop off the match. Somebody else, the number one contender, they didn't want to ruin who it was going to come in. They were going to wrestle the Honky Tonk Man, because we all know who has the belt, right, David?
Oh, absolutely. To clarify, Honky Tonk Man, in his own hubris, did not want to know who he was facing. They were trying to tell him, but he didn't need it because he was the longest reigning Intercontinental Champion. And
can you believe that shit still stands? The Honky fucking Tonk Man is still the longest reigning IC champ.
That just goes that goes to like the quality of just a stupid character like that. Like that's what wrestling needs is like.
And he was over as a heel, dude. Smashing guitars and Elizabeth during that Mega Power storyline. Like, you can't. I mean, it's stupid looking back now, but I mean, you can't say the dude wasn't over as a heel. Like a heel Elvis impersonator. Like, what the fuck are we watching?
It's like the his little snicker that he would have, like where he thought he was so clever with everything. Like I love Honky Tonk Man.
I do miss Chris Mitchell in this moment to listen to his righteous anger about the fact that he dresses like 70s Elvis but sings 50s Elvis. Sings like 50s Elvis songs.
Old Chris.
Look, and there's another big thing about the Honky Tonk Man that a lot of people don't want to bring up either. It's like, in my opinion, he's the only wrestler that made the swinging neck breaker a dominant move that people couldn't kick out of. Yeah, the swinging neck breaker. Like, oh my gosh, man.
That's like saying like my finisher's an arm bar.
Yeah.
Like,
how
the hell's that gonna work?
Russian leg sweep.
Russian leg sweep. I was about to say that's one of Jericho's several moves he knows is an arm bar.
Mm-hmm. Oh my gosh, man.
It may be
wild.
I meant to check with our previous sponsors since we were talking about this to see if we could get another just for Honky Tonk Man.
Just for Honky Tonk Man.
But I didn't.
I kind of forgot about that.
Yeah, but I could. Speaking of, I could probably start using that because I'm a little.
I got a few grays coming in.
Yeah. Just for Honky Tonk Man might be a good sponsor for us again.
Jesus. Well, you work on that. You make a couple calls. Do the ad sales. I know you're a junior co-host, but you are the leader of our ads division, and we haven't had any ads on the show in a while, so
you haven't had much to do.
That's true. Like, you guys aren't giving me much to sell, to be honest. Like,
pulling a Hogan on us and no selling the shit out of it.
That ain't gonna work for me, brother.
Oh, you dropped me on my head. Anyway, something that also shocked me about the Honky Tonk Man when I was a kid was when I found out he was related to Jerry Lawler. But after you find out and you can't unsee it.
Yeah,
it makes too much sense.
Too much sense.
Yeah,
it's those eyes. They look very similar.
Yeah,
those Memphis eyes,
those trailer park eyes. You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
All right, and the opponent finally named. You knew it when they hit the music. Here he is, the Ultimate Warrior, running to the ring and just beat the shit out of the Honky Tonk Man in 31 seconds flat. That's the end of the longest reign in IC title history. And then he's off and running for the next 2 years. If there was somebody that was as hot as, if not hotter than Hulk Hogan, take a look behind David there. It was the Ultimate Warrior.
Man, I mean, you cannot say. I mean, this is we still talk about this moment. You can't say this was the wrong call. I mean, holy shit, that pop when his music hits and when people realize it's him coming out. I mean, he was over like Rover. I mean, people loved him.
Yeah, especially the thrusting. He did a lot of thrusting in that match after he won, and that
a
was
lot
like
of thrusting.
That was one of his.
A lot of like air humping.
Yeah, that's what it was. Just a lot of that, man.
He was still working out the warrior, the warrior stick.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was coming out of somewhere.
I imagine Vince pulled him aside at some point and be like, "God damn, pal, you got to ease up on the thrusting.
Yeah. Like, what are you doing?
You shake the ropes and do all that shit." But I mean, Jesus Christ.
Yeah. It was a lot. It was a lot of thrusting.
I love a good thrust, but come on.
Just patting his head back at Gorilla. He's getting a little too hot and worked up. But one of the hottest wrestlers in the world at the time, and this is really kind of his runway to really
this is his
take
arrival,
off.
really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And speaking of non-wrestling matches, this was one of those. It served a point. Of course, every Ultimate Warrior match is a
I'm about to say,
match.
it's like,
Jesus.
Yeah.
He just,
every
he's
Warrior
just gonna
match
hurt
was
somebody.
this long, we wouldn't have missed out on much of anything.
He was, looking back, I mean, he was basically the Goldberg of that time period. Like, good for one thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
he was very good at that one thing he did.
Yeah.
Running
very
and then
good.
shaking the ropes.
Yeah.
Speaking in riddles
Yep.
or nonsense.
But and some of it sounds, it looks and sounds ridiculous looking back at it. But again, look at the crowd in 1988. Look at them going nuts for the Ultimate Warrior. Look at the crowd in 1998 going nuts for Goldberg. It fucking worked in that moment in time.
Cocaine is a hell of a drug, man. Everybody was lit. Everybody was lit.
That's
and
a shirt.
on to the
Everybody
on to
was
the
lit.
next match. Everybody's gonna love this one. I know I do. It went for 5 minutes and 28 seconds. It's Dino Bravo with Frenchie Martin against Don, the Real Rock,
The Rock.
Morocco.
Now,
This was a hell of a match. How did you guys feel about Frenchie Martin and his wonderful sign? It's apropos for today. The USA is not okay.
Not okay. See, now this was this kind of counteracts the discussion we had earlier where everybody's just automatically heel because they're foreign. This guy was, actively disparaging the US with his commentary there. But like it works because again, it's like one thing people don't hate more than Canadians, it's French people for whatever reason. So it served its purpose. The biggest thing for this match was really the fact that we had Bobby Heenan in commentary, and it really showed the quality difference with him versus Billy Graham. But to Billy Graham's credit, he was able to play off Bobby Heenan really well.
Mm-hmm.
And like when Bobby Heenan would get kind of snarky with him, he would take it and give it back, and they had a really good dynamic for that short time period. And I appreciate it. I was worried that Billy Graham was going to kind of get defensive, but no, they both sold it and they played it well. So I did like that aspect of the match.
Yeah, they definitely did.
The chemistry between Gorilla and Bobby is my favorite, probably announced team in wrestling history.
Mm-hmm.
And I agree there. Having Gorilla just working as the straight man and having superstar Billy Graham do his thing, it made kind of an awkward pair. But when you add Bobby into it, it really did elevate Billy's game there, I thought.
Oh yeah.
And I think like with the actual match, there was Dino Bravo's another guy who made something very simple like work. And I remember this was kind of like the introduction of like, hey, Dino's he's a serious guy you need to watch out for. So I just remember the finish, and I remember that side slam, the little sidewalk, not the sidewalk. And I was just like, he's another one where he did such a simple move, but nobody ever kicked out of it. So them having Don Morocco be the guy that, take this and say, hey, Dino's now a serious competitor. I thought it was good, but this was another match where it was basically, there for its purpose, but you remember it for the other things, like you said, the commentary and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So.
Great match. Really big fan of Frenchie Martin. Maybe one of the best of all time.
Yeah, he definitely didn't sell his hits when he got hit in that match.
Yeah, not at all. Not at all. On to the next one, another tag match, and one of the better matches on the card, in my opinion. It went 9 minutes, 29 seconds. Demolition. This is the Smash and Axe version with Mr. Fuji from working in a theater in Knoxville fame. and Jimmy Hart, because they need somebody that can talk, defeated or the Hart Foundation, Bret Hart and Jim the Anvil Neidhart, to retain the tag titles. But really, the Hart Foundation, they are the champions of this match. When you look at how it's put together, how it's worked, how it's sold, really, really good. But the whole look, the aesthetic of Demolition, it's very 80s, but it's pretty badass. I don't know if you can get that over now, that type of gimmick over now, obviously with what we had a little bit earlier in WWE, but this is a hell of a gimmick for the time.
Well, it's crazy too, because since they were facing the Hart Foundation, I mean, a lot of the times you didn't realize how big Demolition really was, like how like in stature they were. But then when you go and watch this match, you're like, oh shit, they were some big ass dudes, you know, and they look like killers. And that's another one that's in like maybe my top 10 greatest themes of all time. You know, because as soon as you hear that, like, here comes the Axe, here comes the Smasher, where Demolition, natural disaster, it's like, oh yeah, they're gonna beat somebody's ass. But you know, was okay. So this is I know Megaphone was involved in this match, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, all right, yeah, because I know the Hart Foundation didn't win the titles. I remember Demolition winning.
Yeah, there's a lot of just like flaky finishes on this, as was kind of the play for this era of wrestling. They didn't want to, like Justin said, didn't want to not get anybody else over. It was interesting.
Yeah,
and I don't know, maybe you could make this work if it was more of a situation like Pulp Fiction, and you had the S&M guys, you know, being a little gimp, maybe in a cage. Maybe that would work for a 2022 audience. But it is funny that
I popped back in this conversation.
An S&M gimmick is what it's what was a heel at the time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
and the crowd was pissed. The crowd was not happy when the Hart Foundation lost. They were fucking pissed, you know. So, oh man, what a time!
Yeah, I was a little taken aback when it started that like the Hart Foundation was already in the ring when the match started. We didn't even see it. I was like, whoa! Mm-hmm. It's like you don't see Brett get cut very often.
Yeah,
like but yeah,
times have changed, man. Like you don't see that unless you are like a real undercard, like to use the term jobber.
Enhancement talent.
Mm-hmm. Unless you're an enhancement talent, I mean, half of fucking wrestling TV is taken up with entrances.
Oh sure.
You don't see the tag champs or someone in a tag title match, you know, already in the ring.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. The only time you really see already in a ring on TV, and this is because of time reasons, is if you watch Rampage.
Yeah, that's true.
Oh god,
yeah, but that's just
they do that all the time.
Yeah,
I feel like when I've watched Rampage, I feel like it's here's a dude in the ring, and then here's a commercial, and then like anyway. But yeah, no, I didn't think it was a bad match. Like I was pretty impressed with Demolition. Like they could move.
Demolition was so kick-ass back then. Like, dude, I heels, baby faces, like you're saying. Now it looks like, you know, the Gimp from Pulp Fiction, but that shit was cool as hell. I thought, you know, back in the day.
Yeah. Like when you got the action figures and they came with like those masks and everything, to you, like, oh, they're gonna win all my belts, you know? Like, that was great, you know.
And it's not like I had seen fucking Mad Max or the Road Warrior or anything. Like I didn't know. I mean, and even that's even more so, you know. BDSM.
What's interesting about this match, dude? This is early, I believe, in the Hart Foundation's like babyface turn here. So you're starting to see the beginning of babyface Brett, who would be his character for the longest time until we got the Hart Foundation run, and he was the evil Canadian.
Yeah, because I mean, you got to think it wasn't that long. I mean, when the Mega Powers formed, the Hart Foundation was part of, you know, Jimmy Hart and Honky Tonk Man and all that. You know, when they attacked Elizabeth and were beating up Hogan or Savage, and that couldn't have been too long before this.
Not long at all.
Earlier in the year, I imagine.
Yeah, so it's you're seeing a very a fledgling babyface Bret Hart. So maybe that's why he was already in the ring. Plus, you've got all the gaga of Demolition coming down. You can't really beat that.
Yeah.
Here comes the axe.
Yep.
God damn.
Fucking love it, man.
Getting pumped just thinking about it.
You just want to punch a wall, man.
Yeah, I want to demolish some shit.
We're gonna have to have a karaoke episode where it's just Justin singing the theme.
I'll have to get a few more drinks in me. But I'm
Oh
open to
man! And speaking, our next match here, an interesting thing. I think it would be interesting if we had this this gimmick today as a heel. Went 5 minutes 57 seconds. The Big Boss Man as a heel, a police officer, a correctional officer with Slick against Coco Beware, the Birdman,
with Frankie.
With Frankie, can't forget Frankie. Sorry, Frankie. But a heel policeman in the 80s. I would love to see a heel police person now.
I wouldn't only because I wouldn't only because WWE is not exactly known for their subtlety or social awareness. Maybe I can't imagine it being done.
It's it seems like Big Boss Man, more often than not, though, was a heel. Like he was an authority figure that abused his power. Like,
and wasn't he a prison guard though? He wasn't necessarily.
He was a correctional officer. I mean, like later in the Attitude Era, he was like a SWAT guy or whatever.
Despite the fact that the song says, if you're ever down in Cobb County, Georgia, you better read the signs and respect law and order. Like, correct me if I'm wrong, but prison guards cannot pull me over. Like,
no,
you can't. No. Yeah, I mean, they can't do that. So,
like,
I don't give a shit. You're a prison guard. It doesn't mean shit to me unless I'm in prison, I guess.
It's like, here we are. You pulled over. Like, it's too late now. Like, you didn't know he was only a prison guard till after you pulled over.
Yeah,
I remember being not a kid, but like a teenager, young, and I didn't really know where Cobb County was, and I didn't really realize at the time it was basically around Atlanta. And I remember being in Atlanta for a show or something and seeing a cop car that said Cobb County. And I was like, oh, fuck, it's a Big Boss Man. Shit, I'm in Cobb County right now. I better fucking read the signs.
Yeah, you're going to be serving hard time.
I don't want to be serving hard time down here, man.
I remember the
hard
dynamic of... there's something I really remember. There's two things I remember in this match that always makes me chuckle to myself. This is when Boss Man Sidewalk Slam, he would fall stomach first and he would just lay on you for the pin. And then the other thing is there's a part in this match. Oh my gosh, it makes me laugh. After Coco Beware loses, they like kind of zoom in on Frankie, and Frankie has this look on his face like, I can't believe you lost, you bitch. I cannot believe you lost. Like I'm going home with you. You lost.
I can't believe expressions.
I can't believe I hitched my wagon to this asshole star.
Exactly. Oh my god, Frankie looks so disappointed. Yeah, he looks so disappointed. I'm like, that poor bird.
Yeah. You find your own way home. I'm fucking flying.
I'm out of here.
This shit's embarrassing.
Oh my gosh, man.
Oh, it's good.
Disgrace to all bird kind right here.
So I gotta go with you to the next house show. Like, no, we're not doing this.
No, I'm not doing that.
And for what it's worth, this was maybe one of the best singles match on the card, in my opinion. Not a bad match for what it was.
Coco Beware had a badass missile dropkick.
Dude, Coco Beware's another underrated guy.
Yeah.
I mean, he kind of was a real lower card guy. He never really did a whole lot in the way of WWE, but I mean, dude was kind of a badass from what I can tell and watching his like the older stuff before he even got to WWE. Like, I mean, he could go, and he's always kind of used as the example of like, well, if Coco Beware's in the Hall of Fame, well, so anyone can be in the Hall of Fame. But like, yeah, I guess if you're just taking into account his WWE run and doing the high energy and shit, but like, I mean, the dude had a pedigree, and he had a pedigree long before WWE.
Yeah, he had a very scary brain buster too. Look, it looked like he really killed you. Like, it was like, you're dead.
It busted your fucking brain.
Like it's over.
It was exactly as advertised.
Yeah.
And Boss Man, he wrestled really well for a big man, like that style.
Let me tell you, Big Boss Man was my first favorite wrestler. When I first got into, when I was a little kid, when I first got into wrestling, he was the first Hasbro figure I bought. And I mean, it didn't last long once I got exposed to, Macho Man and all these other guys. But I mean, I remember my first favorite wrestler for some reason was the fucking Big Boss Man.
Mm.
And I had the original Hasbro when he was fat and had the gut and was a heel. Even then, I was like, I don't care. He's awesome.
Justin loves a hoss.
I love a good hoss fight.
And our next, another singles match, believe it or not, went 10 minutes 6 seconds. Jake Roberts against Hercules.
Oh, Hercules.
And Hercules was one of those guys that no one ever talks about Hercules, but if you watch pretty much
Hercules Hernandez,
watch any WWF show from like, I don't know, 84, 85 until like, the early 90s sometime, that show's got a fucking Hercules match on it.
Yeah, he's on it. He's doing something.
He was everywhere.
Yeah.
And no one
lots
talks
of
about
chains
him.
too.
Yeah.
Lots of chains in this match. Or on this pay-per-view if you look at it. Two guys come out with chains around their neck.
JYD and Hercules.
And a lot of animals. Like the British Bulldogs brought out an animal. We have Coco Beef
So
bringing
many
out
animals.
And at the end of this match,
Jake
Roberts,
Snake.
of course, brings out an animal.
Unfortunately, we didn't get Bad News Brown with his Harlem sewer rats.
Yeah,
I think that came later, maybe.
Yeah, that was later on.
Yeah.
Oh my God,
Prairie Dog.
That was like it looked like a really bad Jim Henson puppet, like something that like Jim Henson Studios was like, nah, fuck that, we're scrapping this one. And Vince picked it up and was like, that's gonna be a goddamn Harlem sewer rat. Like something like respected, like Dark Crystal.
Yeah, it's crazy because like when I think about Hercules, I remember both his runs, heel, face, all that.
Yeah.
But as much as people, hate Paul Roma, right? But like,
I was
Power
hoping
and
you were going to
Glory,
say. I was hoping
yes.
this was the direction you were going in.
When Power and Glory debuted, and they debuted that tag finisher, the superplex and the splash right away.
One of the best tag finishers of all time. 100%.
I was like, there will never be a tag match. There's never going to be a tag move better than this. I remember my mind being blown away. Like, how did they time this? Nobody can ever do that, and it still gets used to this day.
So good. It's so good.
So I always think about that when I think about Hercules.
Absolutely.
Love that move.
Yeah. Oh, same.
Mm-hmm.
I thought they were. And also Power and Glory. Was that what they were called?
Yeah. Power and Glory.
That's a great fucking name.
Yeah. That's like Eddie. Eddie will come up with great names. He came up with a great name in MCW. He is the inventor of a former team called Seduce and Destroy.
You should have seen the guys. It was exactly what they were supposed to be.
And it's so funny because Eddie just said it so organically too. It wasn't like, oh, hey, what about? He was just, man, this Seduce and Destroy just rolled right off the tongue.
Like
he would have made money in the 80s.
Like Buff Bagwell and what's his name in WCW?
Oh gosh,
the New Japan guy. They were Vicious and Delicious.
The Vicious and Delicious, yep.
Oh,
yeah.
Scott Norton.
Scott Norton. Yes.
Yeah.
Vicious and Delicious.
Norton. Talk about Hoss.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and he could move too, man. He was a good big guy.
And he would break his shoulder with that shoulder breaker too. It's over. Your shoulder's dead. It's over.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, of all the parts on your body, you need your shoulder.
Yeah, you need your shoulder. Can't just be walking around one shoulder. Unless you face Scott Norton. Then you're only going to have one shoulder. It's over.
Guaranteed to only have one shoulder after the match is over. Oh, boy. Match ends with Jake Roberts winning and putting the snake on old Hercules Hernandez here. Crowd loves it. So over.
Mm-hmm.
Jake is so over as a baby face for putting a snake on people.
Yeah.
That's the thing. I mean, you think of Jake Roberts as one of the all-time great heels, which he is, but he was also an incredibly over babyface when he wanted to be.
Yeah.
Just all across, across the board popular.
Yep.
Just so good. So good at every aspect of it. The in-ring,
psychology,
promo, the psychology of it. Just so good. So good.
Yeah, and the best ones can do that. And he didn't really change all that much from being a babyface to being a heel. It was the little things that really put him over, and it was also the spots he was booked in. But he's good at the nuances.
Yeah,
trust me.
Yeah.
I got goosebumps. Next
also,
match,
he just had baller theme music.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Everyone.
Yeah. I mean, he was rocking. He was.
Oh.
The Justin Freeze.
Justin Freeze.
Yeah.
You back, Justin?
Yeah, you froze.
You froze for a second. Okay.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Only thing freezing in this summer heat is Justin White over here. The next match, our main event, goes 13:57. It's the one you've all been waiting for: the Mega Powers, Hulk Hogan and Randy Savage, with the secret weapon, Miss Elizabeth. I can't remember what Hogan called her earlier in the pay-per-view. Against the Mega Bucks, because everything's Mega in the 80s. Ted DiBiase and Andre the Giant, with the accent over the E, with Bobby Heenan and Virgil. And for the first time, I think, until SummerSlam 98, 10 years later, we have special guest referee Jesse the Body Ventura.
Yeah.
What a classic match this is.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Just classic spots. Anything with Hogan and Andre from the 80s. Anything with Hogan, Macho, and
honestly, the
DiBiase,
Mega
just
Power is
classic.
probably, for my money, the greatest storyline of this era of WWF.
For
The
sure.
coming together of Hogan and Savage, and then the kind of slow dissolution. Even we're getting hints of it here, even though it wouldn't happen for a while. Like, I mean, this is just, I mean, they were firing on all fucking cylinders here with their main event picture.
It was almost kind of shocking when this main event started. I realized that, like, the pedigree in that ring compared to the rest of the card, I was like, who else is even close to this? And world title,
no one.
Nobody, like by a wide margin.
Like you could tell Warrior would probably be there eventually by the reaction he got and the presentation, but you're absolutely right. Like, just, I mean, this was like a different level.
Yeah, this was like you said, this was the showing, especially as you got older. Like, when we look at it now, where it was like, yeah, these guys are here, everybody's here, you know, and it was just the small things. And there was something very intricate in this match that I really liked when the big spot happens with Miss Elizabeth. You know, she rips the skirt off, but when they pan the camera to Hogan and Randy and they doing the handshake,
on the outside.
I was like, oh my god, that's so intelligent, you know. So this was a fun match. It was very, very fun.
And sorry, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say there's one thing that I chuckle at too that I always think about. And I'm just kind of skipping around, but you know, after the celebration and everything, Hogan takes Elizabeth's skirt and he just throws it in the crowd. And in my mind, I know Elizabeth's like, wait a minute,
damn
I
it.
kind of wanted that. You know,
Yeah,
what are
like,
you doing?
Now I got to walk all the way to the back with my ass out.
Yeah, exactly. So there's always small things that make me chuckle. So
that's going to be on the next episode of WWE Treasures on A&E. They're trying to find the bottom part of Miss Elizabeth's skirt.
I just love, like, you know, she takes the bottom part of her dress off and she's wearing, you know, red underwear.
It's a bikini bottom,
basically.
A
bikini bottom.
It's classy.
And just everyone in the ring acts like they've never fucking seen this before.
Yeah, they're like,
I have never seen a woman in a bathing suit bottom. Like Andre's just, what is happening? What is this? Like, everyone's just so taken aback. Like, all right, look, I get it. She's hot.
But they were selling it hard. They were selling it hard.
Hard.
Everybody was.
It's where they put Miss Elizabeth too. She was kind of on that pedestal of like, I don't know.
She was too classy for that. She wasn't, you know, the kind. She wasn't the show and skin kind of character.
No, it's like even DiBiase's face. It was just like the one thing money can't buy. Like, it's like, oh no. Like,
I mean, she had a great ass.
I mean, look, I probably had a couple chest hairs sprout. I mean, I took the next step to becoming a man watching the end of this match. Not gonna lie.
I remember that, man.
At the time, you were like, yeah, so girls are pretty cool, right?
So girls, huh? Interesting.
4.5-year-old Eddie was, maybe a little bit of an awakening there too. I love the finish of this match too. How they mix the finishers together with Hogan.
I like that a lot.
Holding him down with the boot and then the big elbow.
Love it.
Kind of a heel move by Hogan in a way. But
no,
I loved it. I loved it.
Yeah, Hogan.
I mean,
I'll keep my comments to myself. But Hogan, good job, Hogan.
You'll be in good company here. I don't think too highly of Hogan, but I mean, look, the Mega Powers. There wasn't any, like I said. I mean, there wasn't any better storyline for my money going on in the late 80s than the Mega Powers, and then the fallout after the Mega Powers explode, and all that, and the allegiance of Miss Elizabeth and all that. I mean, I love this shit, man. I mean, this is the definite, to me, this is just the definition of classic.
Mm-hmm. And it would really carve out a place in wrestling history moving forward too, because this rivalry continued in WCW as well. Personally, as you learn more about Macho and his relationship with Ms. Elizabeth and the behind the scenes stuff that happened there, and just it's wild. It's wild to know what was really going on, and they kind of worked themselves into a
and she was originally supposed to show more. I believe she was supposed to it was supposed to be like a full bikini thing. Like she was supposed to take the dress off. I don't know about Bush, but
it was the 80s. Things were different.
I mean, there might have, I mean, but I think he put the kibosh on that. I think he didn't want her showing too much.
I wonder whose idea that was.
It's for macho eyes only.
Yeah. Doesn't need to work on that one.
Yeah, that was, I mean, and this is the definition of what you still hear in this day and what we teach and everything. Of this was long-term storytelling. Really was, at its best too, But once again, this is an era where you didn't get like 17,000 hours of wrestling a week.
Yeah, I feel like it was probably easier to do then. You didn't have weekly TV. You didn't have monthly pay-per-views.
Yeah. So that's why I always tell people, like, cherish these times, but it is funny when you go back and look and you're just like, oh my gosh, like this wasn't that great, but I mean, okay, so, but then you find stuff, you're like, man, this is a classic. You'll never see anything like this again. Like I always laugh about, I'm an I grew up a lot on NWA, and when I went back and I watched when like Ronnie Garvin beat Ric Flair, I'm like, he did a sunset flip from the second rope and beat him, right? But at that time it was like, did you see him do that from the second rope? Who could kick out? So but
it's amazing how far we've come. If you want to consider it coming far, but how things have changed since then. Because I mean, fucking winning world titles with leg drops and coming off the second rope.
Yeah,
exactly. I don't know if you saw the conversation that they were talking about with Kevin Nash and Shawn Michaels about NXT. He was talking about, slow down, work the thing, sell, yada, yada, yada. And HBK's like, that's not the style anymore. That's not what people want to see. It's like, if you go out there and do a test of strength, people are going to fall asleep. This is the style now. Things change for better or for worse, depending on what kind of wrestling you like. But that's the good thing.
And I think there's a happy medium too between. Yeah, I think it is good advice a lot of times to slow down and sell. But and you don't want everything to be a spot fest, but you do need those high spots. It's not the 80s anymore, and you can't put on a show like it is the 80s. That's not the audience anymore.
And again, too, there's a wrestling style for everybody. Just like an AEW show or a WWE show. Sometimes more on NXT, you'll see a differentiation between how people work. For the really good wrestlers, the ones that have actually studied their shit and know about the psychology pieces that you need to throw in there. Otherwise, like, you do see a couple people that it's a bit homogenized and it all looks the same.
Yeah, and I mean, that's just like, you get a lot of people, which I'm starting to hear a lot more from people about, where they're saying these days their favorite show is NWA, and I'm like, wow, really? And they're like, hey man, it just fits my frame. And I'm like, I respect that, So, and then, some people like Impact, some people like this, and some people could just watch it all. But in the end of things, if you watch it all, by the time you get to Sunday, you realize you watch like 80 hours of wrestling, and you're just like, yo. You're like, oh my goodness.
It's a lot.
My philosophy has always been, I root for pro wrestling. I root, whether AEW is putting on a good show or I think the show sucks, I'm still rooting for them to do well. And saying WWE, like, I want WWE to do well, because, and especially WWE, because they are, to most people in the world, this country or the world, that is the only wrestling they know. If they're doing well, then wrestling's doing well. They have they are in the unique position to kind of elevate wrestling as a whole because of the brand and name recognition. But I'm always rooting for wrestling, man. I want WWE to be good. I want AEW to be good, and I want them to succeed. And Impact, and I want New Japan, and I love that, and technology, has allowed us to find all this kind of find what wrestling you like, find what works for you, whether it's sports entertainment, whether it's whether it's the more pro wrestling AEW kind of style, whether it's that New Japan strong style, whatever it is. Just I love that there's something for everyone, and I want that to continue.
Yeah, especially in the position that I'm in. A lot of my friends are in different companies. Sure. WWE, AEW, Impact, whatever. And I look at it and go, if something fails, what happens if my friends don't have a job? What happens if there's no opening for me? What happens if there's no opening for one of my students or whatever? Yes. So yes, you need all these places to win. I know people that they could have had all 3 contracts in their hand, and they'd be like, well, I chose this place because this is where my happiness is, and I'm always like, go with your happiness, sure. The money will come and go, just go with your happiness. Mm-hmm. So
that can be different for everybody on a person by person basis.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. and that's a great point too, is not only do I root for wrestling, I root for pro wrestlers. Mm-hmm. I want pro wrestlers, because I have a respect for that. I've never done it, but I have a respect for it, and I want pro wrestlers to be able to make a living doing what they want to do, whether that's WWE or AEW or whatever. I'm always rooting for the success of pro wrestling.
Mm-hmm. I do have a comment from a viewer here. I think he's talking about Vince McMahon. I'm going to pop it up on the screen here, guys. From our good friend of the show, Andrew Love. Money in the Bank, he told Talent that he was here to stay, so something big is definitely coming. I think he's talking about Vince McMahon there.
Talking about Vince,
yeah.
No, I certainly, I think there's more. I think there's going to be more coming. I think the company, it really seems to me like he's being forced out.
Yeah, it's something
for the good of the company, and I think it's probably the right call, because I think we've just touched the tip of the iceberg of the shit that's going to come out, and they rightfully, they are a business. They need to distance themselves from this shit, and if it means, I think it's probably going to be a net positive for the people that work there too. From everything I've heard, people like Stephanie. They like working with Stephanie. They like working with Hunter. If people are more comfortable and happier in their jobs, then it's time to fucking go.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it's like, I think I texted this to Eddie a couple of days ago, and like I said, look, man, there's no way Vince McMahon's just going to retire on a random Friday afternoon. That's not what
via
it is.
Twitter.
Via Twitter, but it, like you said, in the long run, it's about what is for the betterment, not only of the company, but wrestling in general, because it goes back to what you said, Justin. A lot of people, to this day, only know that WWE exists. So
exactly.
If this goes wrong, then it hits everything in wrestling, period.
Yes. Yeah.
So
whether we like it or not, the success is intricately tied to the success and failure, at least in this country, of pro wrestling. Mm-hmm. Because I got news for you. If shit gets bad for WWE, it's get a whole lot worse for AEW. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? They haven't been around long enough. They don't have the infrastructure and the brand and the popularity that they do. So, if anything, I root for the success of WWE.
Freezing again. Look at this guy.
Well,
I'm gonna there we go.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'll stop talking.
There's always that half second where I was like, did all of us freeze? And
you all went away for a minute, so okay. I'm sure it's something on my end, but my internet looks fine, so I don't know.
I don't know, man.
It's the fact that Vince didn't get any kind of send off. Last time he tried doing like this, he killed himself on TV.
Blow him up in a limo again, you cowards! Just do it.
Just use the same footage.
Use the same footage.
That would be hilarious, to be honest, if they just recycled it.
Just have an updated, so it's it looks like present day old ass Vince walking, and then just cut to the old footage of the limo blowing up, and that's it. And then, we finally got to use that storyline.
It's nobody got to throw him into a dump truck or anything like that.
Like Shredder at the end of the first Turtles movie?
Or even like Bischoff.
Crush him
like,
with a garbage compactor?
He would I think if he was going out on his own terms, he would want something like that.
Yeah.
Like one last chance to get somebody over, to do something. But it does. It's like, for the good of my company and the success, my daughter's success, I've gotta.
I think what has come out and whatever's going to be coming out, it's a detriment to the company for him being there. I mean, that's what all of this says to me is that the company and the shareholders and the board of directors view it as you are now a liability and you need to go. That's what it says to me.
It's crazy. It really is. I do want to know what you guys think of that came out almost immediately after the Vince tweet. Tony Khan tweeted, "Thanks to you wrestling fans and your great support of AEW, I'm grateful to now be the longest tenured CEO in pro wrestling. Thank you very much to every single person who watches AEW TV. See you on Friday, Rampage."
He's been sitting on that for months.
He's been sitting on that for a while, and also it's not true because what's his name? I would say, what's his name? Who's the CEO of Impact has been doing it way longer.
I mean, so has Billy Corgan, so has Court Bauer at MLW, so has the guys.
Didn't I say Billy Corgan in the text the other day?
But that was it. That's an NWA though. He wasn't in Impact. He changed. He was the man, but he's not the man.
But it's still been longer. And Court,
but his tenure broke.
What about Jason Brown? He's the CEO of Impact, and he's been doing it since 2016.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fair. I'm just saying, Corgan.
So it's still not true.
That's the point. That was a Tony Khan comment.
I guess that AEW Impact relationship isn't what it used to be.
It hasn't been.
Tony Khan's just such a he rubs me the wrong way, but I mean, so does Vince McMahon. It goes without saying, but Tony Khan, he's smarmy.
He's a little smarmy. He is. Oh, it's just him. It's him just trying to get him, try to get himself over the opportunity. He's trying to
get himself over. Like
it's funny. It was funny. Like
it was funny. It was funny. It was a good little jab.
I hope he had it saved in his drafts though.
Yeah, but no, that's
as soon as the first Wall Street Journal story broke, he had that one loaded up in the barrel.
He's had that since he started. I was like, Vince will die eventually, or something will happen, and this
would have been really particularly tasteless if he died.
Yeah.
It could be a heel move.
It's like Vince McMahon is gone, but Mr. McMahon might still be there somewhere. So,
well, my only big thing about all this stuff is just like, I mean, yes, we're in a different era of life and everything. And look, anybody can say what they want, and you have to deal with the consequences of what you say. But you're also CEO, and my big thing is I just believe karma's real. And it to me, I personally don't think it was needed. I think it should be, because I think it gets mixed and screwed of now you're going to get a lot of people that look at it like, are you more worried about a company dying or are you more worried about your company being the best in the world? Because it seems like you're more worried about everything that happens to this company, where we want to see your company become the best in the world. So instead of having that conversation, it's like you could stay away from these type of comments to grow your company.
I would agree. Yeah. It makes him look immature.
How do you succeed without destroying your competition? Like, grow. How do you don't grow when that happens? You become the best by default, and it's not the same thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
who knows? Maybe WWE will get sold, and maybe Tony's dad will give him some more money, and he'll buy it.
I mean, look.
I think you're reaching there a little.
He's got the money to do it.
Well, so does fucking Disney.
Yeah. But there's only one thing that is guaranteed out of all of this. All of these conversations. The only thing that's guaranteed is at the end of the day, Impact will survive because they survive everything and they're never going anywhere.
They're the cockroaches of pro wrestling.
Yeah, Impact they'll always be there. And like I said, kudos to them, because they're feeding a lot of my friends too, and a lot of people like their wrestling, Look, they just survive everything. So every time when somebody's like Impact's going to die, I'm like, bro, like, have you?
No,
they're never going to die. They're
like I
gonna be
said,
around.
I root for pro wrestling, which
Yep,
means
I
I
root
root for the success of Impact, and they have honestly just impressed me with their ability to withstand so much shit over the years and still be there, still kicking and still putting on shows. Like it's pretty damn impressive. But I feel like a lot of other companies would have been a footnote in history.
Yeah, they would have been like, it's over,
gone by the wayside years ago.
Yeah,
they've got a very valuable back catalog, like that they accumulated pretty quick when they started, and that's that keeps a lot of interest on them, like because there's still a lot of missing time periods for a lot of these guys.
Are we going to see, now that Vince is gone, are we going to see some kind of WWE Impact working relationship because we're not seeing the AEW Impact relationship anymore?
I think that's the first thing we're going to see. We're going to see
you've got so many. You've got AJ Styles. I mean, you've got a lot of guys who have been through Impact in WWE right now. So, I can see it happening, especially when and we've seen kind of working kind of crossover things here and there.
The greatest crossover of all time was between TNA Impact and Global Force Wrestling, I think. When you really cut it down to it, and the fact that they somehow survived that basically terrorist attack of wrestling shows you what they are.
Hang on for a minute, because I have some cash for gold. A cash for gold scheme I want to tell you about.
Jesus, and he's coming back to SummerSlam. So
oh yeah, by the way, I'll be at SummerSlam next weekend.
Nice.
Yeah, and Jeff Jarrett will be there, is what I was saying.
As long as
Mr. Nashville, Mr. Impact himself.
Oh man. Well, look, there's when we talk about long-term storytelling, even with this SummerSlam, there's something that they've been building a whole year now, and that's the whole Becky Lynch, Bianca Belair. It started at SummerSlam, and it's looking like it could end at this SummerSlam. Once again, I don't know. Bianca beats her in 36 seconds. And it just goes full circle, perfect storytelling. But whatever they do, like I don't know, I'm really big on storytelling.
I agree totally. I'm here to tell you, if you haven't been watching WWE, I understand, but Becky Lynch and Bianca Belair, that story is the best long-term story that they've done in several years. It's really, really good.
Their women's division is like the best thing that they've had for a very long time, and it's like I'm partial to Bianca Belair. Consider she's from Knoxville, like she gets that like automatic support from me, like and
I feel like Nashville's close enough. She's going to get that hometown pop, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Tennessee is going to
got that. Tennessee's it's all Tennessee. So
we have somebody to replace Kane. Like is our
somebody
boy.
Who's like, great. Kane.
Thank God.
Now just give her a fire demon gimmick, and we'll be good.
Could you imagine Bianca Belair as a female Kane?
I'm imagining it right now.
She can do it. I believe she can do it. She can do any of it. Like
I think she could do anything they threw at her.
Just put a little like fork tail at the end of her hair. Oh yeah, that's all you need.
I love this.
Oh my God, I need to see that happen now. We should do another one of these. I enjoyed the retro show, coming back, getting back to our roots, as we say. Maybe we should do it again. Maybe. Do you have time, Justin, before you leave for Nashville? When are you leaving?
Well, I'll leave Saturday morning, and I'll be back.
Saturday morning.
It's a quick trip. I'm going there, spending the night, and then I'll be back on Sunday. So I don't know about next weekend. I might be able to. Huh?
You're leaving after SummerSlam, or is it on Saturday?
I'm staying the night. I'm going to SummerSlam and then staying the night, and then I'm coming back Sunday morning.
Oh, okay.
All right, yeah, maybe during the week we'll see. If so, we could probably do another SummerSlam pay-per-view. I've got one in mind that might be fun if we want to do another one.
After I was watching this one, it auto-played the next year's, and like I was really into it. Like
yeah.
I get on these kicks, especially with Peacock, where they have the auto play, and yeah, I'll just like, it's like in July and August, I get watching SummerSlams. I'll just start with one of the early ones, and the next thing you know, I've watched like 10 years worth of SummerSlams, just kind of half paying attention in the background, and then I'll do it with Survivor Series. I'll do it with Survivor Series in November and the Rumble. and WrestleMania, just revisiting some of my favorite
several
ones.
reasons. Seeing Tony Schiavone with a WWF microphone in his hand is the weirdest
Very
thing.
surreal. Very surreal.
That's what got my attention first off. Like I was like, what am I watching? Like
he was there for a minute.
There is something very special that happened with, I think, the 89 one, because that's the Zeus one, right?
It is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's something very special, but I don't know if I want to say it now or wait until you want to talk about it, but there's something I remember about that pay-per-view that I've never seen done in any pay-per-view in my entire life.
Maybe that's what we'll do if we have time.
Let's talk 89 Summer Slam real soon.
All right.
I'll talk about Zeus and No Holds Barred all day, every day, twice on Sundays.
About how pissed I am that I missed out on that San Diego Comic-Con exclusive. Had it in my basket.
Waited. Same. I don't want to talk about it.
8 minutes.
Fucking
gone.
God. Yeah. I don't
now it's like $100, like $200 on eBay or something.
Now it's just plastic floating through your body. Like,
yeah.
Fucking microplastics in my blood.
I'm killing myself with all this.
Fucking microplastic, man.
Well, I feel like we've really brought it full circle now. Now we're back talking about microplastics.
Look at it. Here we are at the end of another show. Volume 2 going strong. It was good to do some non-Dynamite stuff. Get back to the classics, and I think we're gonna keep doing this. And I think we'll have Blizz back, and on the next episode, we'll also have a steel quiz match. If you missed the last episode, you would have found out that Chris Mitchell was stripped of the title by President Jack Tunney for cheating.
Now, whether he's going to go along with that, I don't know.
Oh, he probably won't. He'll be furious. But he's not here, and I make the rules.
He's got creative control in his contract. Like
in absentia.
Cool. We'll send in some other wrestling podcasts. He can go have creative control there. The WCW of Blue Bard Cage. But I'm your host, Medium Daddy Cool. For your other host, Justy Rhodes, and the Weatherman, the junior co-host, and our special guest star, Blizz, saying, remember, summertime is always the best of what might be. See ya.
Chris Mitchell voice. Oh, God.
To contact us, search for and like us on Facebook. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram at BlueBardCage, or send us an email at bluebardcage@gmail.com.